You want to go through the second half schedule?
Sure, we could do that.
And then we'll do a progress report, and then we'll finish up with a couple of fun things. Okay, I have it up on my good old phone here. Okay, you said it yourself. This is not easy.
No,
it's not easy. All right. First four after the All-Star break on the road: Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Only good news here is Oklahoma City. Not only are they they have a net rating that is much worse than what their record indicates, but all that means is, the games that they hang around, they actually win. So, but they're not great at home. So tough first four: Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Brooklyn, Philly. And then we got a 4-game homestand that I feel like is going to be important. And I really feel, and the 2 games that stand out. So we start versus Orlando, frisky team, as we know. Then you got Philly, best team in the East by record, at least, not by net rating. And then talk about dangerous back-to-back home games against the Wizards, who have been frisky of late. And if they're hanging around the fringes of the playoff, what do you call it? The play-in game, those games worry the shit out of me. Now, here's the interesting thing. Those games will be played, as long as everything goes according to plan, on the 23rd and the 25th of March. The 25th of March also happens to be the trading deadline. So maybe the Knicks get lucky and Washington goes on a little losing streak and is like, you know what? Let's blow this thing up while we still can, and deals Beal, which is a whole nother, we don't have to get into that right now, but like, there's a chance maybe Washington has decided to tank by then. I have a funny feeling, though, they're going to go the opposite way, and they're going to be like, we're not trading Bradley Beal. We're going to go for a playoff spot. But don't those games worry you too?
Yeah, everything. All of it does.
It's all worries.
No, it really does. It's these next few games are going to be must wins because of the fact that, and I really do hate using must win because it's really not a must win, right? Because there's still time. But this idea of it catches up with you. And so not only, yes, the Knicks have the 5th hardest schedule in the East, but I just want to say as of right this moment, what the easier schedules for these teams are. So the easiest schedule down the rest of the way is Miami. That's a team in the East. That is close. The 5th easiest, the Hornets. The 6th easiest, the Cavs, who, despite losing, 10 games in a row, are still right there in the thick of it because this fucking playing tournament.
The Cavs, stop with the Cavs.
But think about it. If they were able to be 11 and 10, something like that.
They have the worst net rating in the league.
It doesn't matter. You can string enough games. Look, you're telling me that if the Knicks run into trouble with their schedule and the Cavs just win 2 to 3 games, that they're not right there.
They have too many teams to jump. They have to jump Washington, Atlanta, Charlotte, Indiana.
They're all this close. They're all that close.
I think it's too many teams to jump. Listen, if you were telling me the Cavs didn't have to jump so many teams, I would agree with you. But here's the difference, right? A few weeks ago, we talked about the worst teams in the league. And what you'd said was you've got the Wolves, the Pistons, and the Wizards. And now, a few weeks later, we're talking about the Wizards being right there in the thick of things. I'm just saying it can change drastically. You can't count a team out until they're out because of how close the standings are. Fine.
You don't have to say that they're favorites, but they're in there. They're right there. So,
everybody in Cleveland's going to love you. Let's make sure we get this clip up throughout the great state of Ohio.
Wonderful. Love it.
All right.
Who goes to Cleveland
now
on
we're back
vacation?
to disagreeing, and I'm not going to sleep at night.
That's okay. Then we've got Atlanta. They are, let's see, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 8th easiest. The Celtics at 9th. And then you've got the Pacers, the 17th hardest. Wizards 15th hardest. And then the Knicks, the 14th hardest in the NBA. So
14th or 4th, you said?
No, the 5th. I'm going backward. So the Knicks have the 5th toughest, but the 14th easy. 5th toughest in the conference.
Oh, in the conference. In the
NBA.
Okay, all right.
So, but those teams I was just saying in the East, that's actually the NBA as a whole, not the East.
Understood. Okay.
So apologies if there's any confusion. But the point here is that the Knicks have a much harder schedule than the teams around them in the East.
Well, Atlanta and Charlotte and Miami are the 2 teams or the 3 teams rather, that you said that have easier schedules. That those worry me because to me, the way I'm looking at the East right now, and we'll continue going through the schedule in a second. Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, they're in. Toronto's in. Toronto started off, they were 1-5 or 1-6, I believe. They're now 17-17. Their game got postponed because they don't have enough healthy players. I think they're going to be fine. Miami's going to be fine. I'm sorry, but Miami's going to be fine. So that's 5 teams right there. Can they, to me, the question is, can the Knicks hang around in the battle for 6th? And that's going to probably depend more on Boston than New York, because I think if Boston wants to maybe make a trade, if Boston figures their shit out, like, they're just good enough that the Knicks are not going to be able to catch up to them. But again, that's no guarantee. So really what we're talking about is, are the Knicks going to be in the battle for 6th, or are the Knicks going to be in that play-in mix? Or I guess the downside would be, are they going to fall out of it? Let's keep going. So we're up to the 9th game of the second half. We'll go through these pretty quick. Miami at home, very dangerous. Oh, sorry. Before that, we have at Milwaukee. Not fun. Miami at home, not fun. Going to Minnesota. Again, 1-game road trip to the Timberwolves. Dangerous game. Then we got Dallas at home. And we'll talk about that when it comes. And then we got a feisty 3-game road trip. At Detroit, at Brooklyn, at Boston. Don't have to travel very far for any of those, so that's good. And now here is the meat of the schedule. So if the Knicks can, let's say, hang around 500 through those first 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games, the first 15 of the second half. So let's say they could go 6-9, 7-8, something in that vicinity. That would be, then here's where you can maybe make up a little ground. They play 9 of 11 at home. And here's how the schedule goes. Home for Memphis, home for Toronto, home for the Lakers. Obviously, Toronto and the Lakers are tough, but like both of those games are home. Short road trip at New Orleans, at Dallas, and then you got a 6-game homestand. New Orleans, Charlotte, Atlanta, Toronto, Phoenix, Chicago. Phoenix is tough. Toronto's tough. None of those teams are easy. Any of those teams could beat the Knicks. But like, so that's why you nailed it. This is a hard schedule because we haven't even gotten to the really fun part, which is after that Chicago game, it is 6 straight on the road out west. And it's Houston, who should be tanking by then, Memphis, Denver, Phoenix, Clippers, Lakers. I think the only hope is that the LA teams have their playoff places secured by then, right?
Yeah, that they rest Anthony Davis, or at least for the Lakers. Kawhi,
yeah. PG. And then you finish up with a 3-game homestand, San Antonio, Charlotte, and Boston. Whew. It's a doozy. It's not easy. Yeah. It's not going to be easy for them.
I'd also like to volunteer one more piece of information that a lot of fans are not going to like, but it's just the reality of it.
What? I'm afraid now.
Of all those teams, the team with the 4th easiest schedule right now, the Mavs. I know that doesn't factor into the Eastern Conference, but I think it's something to consider. Come trade deadline, look, I'm not itching to trade it. By all means, I want to keep the pick.
I like how you didn't even say it. You didn't even say, you just said it. You just called it it.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. But, it's just something to let it ruminate, think about it, consider the fact that it's, they have the 2nd easiest schedule in the West. And they are right now 2 games back of 6th.
Yeah. And Portland is hurt and struggling. They're currently in 6th. Actually, forget 2 games back of 6th. They're 2.5 games back of 5th. And the 5th place team is the Spurs. And they have a negative net rating on the year, as does Portland, by the way. So you want to talk about 2 teams who seem due for a fall. And then in 7th, you got the Warriors. In 8th, you got the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to be fine. They're going to be up there. Obviously, the top 4 in the West are not being touched. But, this is why I've been pretty consistent about the fact that, like, if you look up at the standings at the end of the year and the Mavericks are in 6th in the West, don't be surprised. So whatever. We'll see what happens there.